Hi, welcome to Business Time. I am Melisha. Remember now to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. All right, we're going to be looking at the January 2022 Principles of Business Paper 2 past paper. Now, remember that this paper 2 consists of 5 questions, right? And you are required to answer all questions. Now, let's look at question 1. Don't want you to see the answers, so I only want you to see the questions because I like when you try to answer the questions first. All right, so let's look at question 1. Jane studied principles of business while attending high school and was inspired to own and operate a business in her community. State 4 reasons why Jane would want to establish her own business. Think about it and see if you can come up with some reasons. All right, so let's look at what some of these possible reasons could be. Remember now that it's 4 marks and you're to state 4 reasons, so you'll get 1 mark each. Reasons, possible reasons why she would want to start her own business: to gain financial independence. You know, Jane might not want to depend on anyone, you know, to get money. So starting her business, she'll be able to earn her own money. To increase her income is a second one. She might have a full-time job already, or already, you know, is doing something on this, but 9 to 5. And so starting her own business is another way for her to get more income. Another reason for self-actualization, it could be that Jane's greatest dream is to have her own business. This is just the greatest achievement that for her, you know, and this could starting her own business is what could make her self-actualize. Another reason is that she wants to be her own boss. Not everybody likes to work for others. Not everybody likes to take orders, you know, from others. She could just want to do things her way in her own time when she feels like it. No, for this question, remember, stating is just listing, and you do not need to give any explanation for the reasons that you have stated. Just as you see it here, you would write it just like that. All right, great. So let's look at B now. B says, list 3 characteristics Jane would need to possess in order to become a successful entrepreneur. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it and see if you can come up with the answer. All right, I hope that you came up with some characteristics. All right, so let's look at some of the ones, so those that I have. Creative, innovative, flexible. Some other characteristics that you could come up with are like persistent, goal-oriented, take calculated risk, or a calculated risk taker. Right, so you just need 3, and again, you just need to list them as is. You don't need to give any explanation, and that is 1 mark each. So you get 3 marks for listing 3 characteristics. All right, excellent. Now let's go to part C. Part C says, state 3 reasons why Jane should conduct a feasibility study prior to establishing her business. Again, I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. All right, so let's look at some reasons why Jane should conduct a feasibility study. So she needs to conduct a feasibility study to determine if the business is practical and doable. You really don't want to start a business and then you realize that it is not profitable. Nobody wants your product or your service that you're offering. And so it's so critical that this be done, that a feasibility study be done. Another reason is to determine the revenue potential of the business. And if you're going to have anybody investing in your business and so on, guess what? They want to know that if they're going to invest in any business, it's a business that will be profitable, because people want return on their investment. The same goes for Jane. If Jane is going to start her business, she has to ensure that it is something that will be profitable. Good. The third one is to determine how much it would cost to get the business started, because to start a business, it can be expensive. And so that needs to be worked out ahead of time, to help Jane to determine or to decide if it makes sense to go ahead with that business. And another reason could be to determine the possible sources of finance. Where is it that she's going to get financial support from? Is she going to get a loan from the bank? Things like that. And so it is so important that a feasibility study be done before Jane starts her business. All right, let's move on to part D. Part D says, state one role of any two stakeholders that will be involved in Jane's business. Can you think of any stakeholder? Remember, you're to identify two stakeholders and state one of their roles. I state a role of each. Giving you a few minutes to think about it, a few seconds really, to think about it. All right, so let's look at this. So of course, stakeholders, so you're to identify two stakeholders, and it's 4 marks each. It's 4 marks. So basically it's 2 marks for each stakeholder that you identify and state their role. So the first thing is the employees. The employees would be a stakeholder, and you get a 1 mark for identifying the stakeholder. Now you're to state what is the role of the employee. The role of the employee is to ensure that they carry out their duties to the best of their ability, right? So by identifying the stakeholder and stating the role, you get the 2 marks. So it's important. If Jane, more than likely Jane will need to employ someone in her business, and Jane is expecting that this person she employs is going to carry out the job to the best of their ability that she paid them for. So it's critical, right? So the stakeholders do have a role. Also, supplier. Jane will need goods from suppliers, depending on what her business will be offering. She will need raw material or whatever it is that she needs from her supplier. Now, the role of the supplier to Jane's business really is to ensure that they supply Jane with good quality goods, yeah, and also on time. So the supplier is supposed to ensure that they do not sell any fake goods to Jane, because that can cause Jane's business to be destroyed, and nobody will want to buy anything from her because she will not have good quality goods that she will be selling. So the supplier plays a key role, right? So you have other stakeholders that you could identify as well, whether it be consumers, government, communities, and so on, right? So what you would need to do is to identify the stakeholder and also state one role, all right, of these stakeholders. Great. So let's look at the next part, which is E. Don't want you to see the answer. All right, great. E says, explain 2 ways in which Jane's business could contribute to the social and economic development of her country. All right, think about it. Give you a few seconds to do so. All right, let's get into it. Now, take note that this question, just go up a little, you'll see it's 6 marks, right? So it means for every way that you explain, it's 3 marks each. And one of the things that you would want to do in your explanation is that you need to identify the point, and then you have to give detail, right? You have to give supporting points now for that main point that you identify. So in this case, you can say Jane's business can provide employment for persons in the country. So that's one way that you have identified. You get a 1 mark there. So you now need to explain it, because all you've done is stated that way, right, that they're asking you for. So you can go on to explain and say, when persons are employed, their standard of living will improve. Persons will be able to buy the things that they need, which will help the economy to grow and, of course, develop the country. And you can expand and you can, explain it in your way. You just have to make sure, but remember, you're working for 3 marks, right? So see if you can give even 2 supporting points to the main point that you highlighted. All right, or you can give examples too. Another way is that Jane can participate in local causes or volunteer in community events. This should be a capital S. Never mind this, sorry. She can sponsor sports competition or charity events. This will help to develop a community, which will help persons in the country to be better off. So in other words, what we're saying here is that what Jane can do in a community that she's going to have her business, she can give support, whether it gives whether it be for a charitable event, some community event. And people love when businesses give support to the community, and of course this will help to make the community better off, and by extension the country will be better off. All right, so question 1 alone is 20 marks. So you have to make sure that you answer all the questions properly. Make sure that you explain when you are to explain, and state when you are to state. You don't want to write too much when that's not necessary, right? So you don't want to spend too much time on a question when that's not needed. All right, so you realize, take note of this. They look at question 1. As C said, they ask just to state, knowledge base. Here again, list same thing as stating. C, stating, and then state again. And E, the last part of the question, is just to explain, right? So we are going to end here for now. Look out for question 2. All right. So remember to subscribe, like, and share with your friends, your schoolmates, just about anyone that you need to share this with. And I so appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right. Hope you learned something. See you next time.